Hello and welcome to the Weary Rascal Crime and Craft channel. Today we will be exploring the tragic case of Julia Niswender, a 23-year-old student at Eastern Michigan University who was found unresponsive in the tub of her ensuite bathroom on December 11th of 2012. But before we get started, if you're into Minecraft and true crime cases, then you've come to the right channel. Be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe. Also, if there are any true crime cases that you'd like to see us cover on this channel, let us know in the comments section. If we decide to use your suggestion, we'll be sure to give you a shout out at the beginning of the video. Due to the nature of the content that we will be discussing, viewer discretion is advised. Without further ado, let's dive in. On January 25th, 1989, twins Julia and Jennifer Niswender were born to Kim Niswender in Monroe, Michigan. According to her obituary, Julia was a caring, compassionate, spirited, boisterous, fun-loving, spontaneous, outgoing, and opinionated person who made an impact on everyone that she encountered. As is usually the case with twins, Julia and Jennifer shared an extremely close bond. In fact, when they were children, Jennifer broke her leg in a sledding accident, which left her wheelchair-bound. Due to this injury, Jennifer had to ride the Type A school bus, often and negatively referred to as the short bus. Julia, being the kind-hearted person that she was, requested to ride the same bus as Jennifer so she wouldn't feel alone. In 2008, Julia graduated from Monroe High School with aspirations of becoming a journalist. She studied at Monroe Community College until 2011, after which she transferred to Eastern Michigan University as a junior, where she was double majoring in communications and electronic media and film. Since EMU was roughly 45 minutes away from her home in Monroe, Julia moved into an apartment close to campus with two of her close friends. However, this arrangement was short-lived, as Julia found a kitten and brought it home, which led to the friends falling out as Julia didn't gain permission to bring the kitten home. Soon after, she moved in with two new roommates at Peninsular Place, which is located in the city of Ypsilanti, Michigan. Julia was excited to move into her new room with an ensuite bathroom, as this meant that she wouldn't have to worry about sharing a bathroom with her other roommates. Julia's room also had a lock, which only she had the key to. Things seemed to be going great for Julia. She had the perfect apartment close to campus, a job at Walmart in Saline, Michigan, and was also doing side work with her stepfather, Jim Turnquist, at his cleaning business to make extra money for the upcoming holiday season. On December 7th, Julia went grocery shopping, dropped off the groceries at her apartment, and then went to spend some quality time with her family in Monroe. She babysat for one of her uncles that day, spent time with her mom and stepdad, her twin Jennifer, and their younger sister Madison. After helping her family decorate their Christmas tree, she then went over to her grandparents' house to help with their tree as well. According to Julia's grandmother, Julia's mother Kim showed up, but didn't help with decorating the tree. After Kim left, Julia supposedly said, "I'm never coming back to that house again." At this point, I feel it's important to note that whenever Julia would travel from Ypsilanti to Monroe to visit family while in college, she allegedly spent the bulk of her time at her grandparents' house and would seemingly avoid her parents' home. The following day, on Saturday, December 8th, Julia left for work and then went out on a date. On Sunday, December 9th, Julia's sisters, Jennifer and Madison, visited Julia at work during her lunch break. The three sisters had a wonderful time together. Julia gave her sisters a tour of the store while playfully pointing out items that her sisters could buy for her for Christmas. Little did they know that this would be the last time that Jennifer and Madison would see their sister alive. After leaving work that evening, Julia stopped by a convenience store. CCTV footage would later confirm this. After arriving back at her apartment, Julia was greeted by one of her two roommates. The other roommate had been in Ohio since December 6th. Later that evening, between 10 and 11 p.m., the roommate who was still at home left to meet up with her boyfriend. The roommate reported that before leaving, she could hear Julia's TV blaring. This did not seem suspicious to her at the time. At around 10:30 that evening, Jennifer reportedly received a text message from Julia, and then at around 11 p.m., a male friend also received a picture message from Julia. On Monday, December 10th, Julia's other roommate returned from her trip to Ohio in the early morning hours. After getting ready for class, she heard Julia's alarm going off. Julia would sometimes ignore the alarm and sleep in, so this was really no big deal for her. However, the roommate decided to bang on Julia's door to try and wake her, but received no response. That day, Julia did not show up for her classes. Afterwards, she was supposed to show up for work at her stepfather's cleaning business, but she didn't. Finally, she also had a shift at Walmart in Saline that evening, but didn't show up for work that day either. This was concerning as Julia was considered a responsible young lady with impeccable work ethic. On Tuesday, December 11th, Julia failed to show up at a co-worker's home to give them a ride to the employee Christmas party, as she had previously promised. She also failed to arrive at the Christmas party itself. That same evening, Kim Turnquist, Julia's mother, was out on the town playing darts with some friends when she received a call from a close friend who also happened to be a co-worker of Julia's. Upon finding out that Julia missed her shift the night before as well as missing that evening's Christmas party, Kim became concerned and contacted another friend to see if they would go by Julia's apartment to do a wellness check on her. The friend arrived at Julia's apartment at around 9:15 that evening and was greeted by one of Julia's roommates. Since Julia's room was locked and Julia had the only key, they proceeded to get in touch with security to try and gain access to Julia's room. However, the guard on duty instructed them to first call the police, so they did. After arriving to do a welfare check, the police granted permission for security to access Julia's room using the master key. Upon entering, they were horrified with what they saw. Julia's lifeless body was found completely submerged in the bathtub of her ensuite bathroom. Her clothes had been torn off with the exception of one sleeve. Those were found on the floor beside her bathtub. Her hands had been pulled behind her back and her feet were together. Ligature marks were found on Julia's wrists and ankles, indicating that she'd been tied up. Her cell phone was found under her body. The knife that was used to cut the clothes, as well as the ligatures that were used to bind her, were missing. The friend who had arrived to initiate the wellness check then called Kim to deliver the devastating news. Afterward, Kim and Jennifer drove to Julia's apartment. Meanwhile, Julia's stepfather Jim woke Madison and they too headed to Julia's apartment where they found Kim and Jennifer in hysterics. The police allowed Kim to enter Julia's apartment but would not allow her to enter the bathroom for obvious reasons. Jim stayed in the parking lot. During their investigation, police found bodily fluid on Julia's body that, when tested, showed that the culprit had undergone a vasectomy. An autopsy conducted by the Ouachita County medical examiner, Jeffrey Jensen, ruled Julia's death as asphyxia associated with drowning. Her manner of death was ruled as a homicide. Several interviews were conducted, including one with Julia's stepfather, Jim Turnquist. It's important to note that Jim had undergone a vasectomy, which lines up with the bodily fluid evidence found on Julia's body. Also, there were no signs of forced entry, and Julia's apartment key was missing from her lanyard. To quote Julia's grandfather, Jim Niswender, "So they could lock her bedroom door and the front door when they left. It leads you to believe she knew this person." Even though Jim Turnquist was listed as a person of interest, he was never charged with anything. He passed 2 polygraph tests and continues to deny any involvement to this day. Julia's mother and her twin sister Jennifer stood by Jim Turnquist, saying that there is no way that he could have been involved. It's also important to note that in February of 2015, Jim Turnquist was arrested and charged with a felony account of possessing lewd materials involving minors, after a forensic analyst for the Ouachita County Sheriff's Office found what police believe were images of a disgusting nature involving people younger than the age of 18 on his computer. The computer was being searched in connection with the Ypsilanti Police Department's investigation in the death of Julia Niswender. In August of that year, Monroe County Circuit Judge Daniel S. White declared a mistrial after the police refused to turn over key documents to Turnquist's defense attorney. Jim Turnquist remains a person of interest, as the police believe that he has knowledge pertaining to her death. A decade later, the case still remains unsolved and no arrests have been made. If anybody has any information regarding this case, no matter how small, please contact the Crime Stoppers of Michigan at 1-800-773-2587. That number again is 1-800-773-2587. You can also submit a tip online at www.icrimestop.org. 1-800-SPEAK-UP.org or through the free P3 mobile app. We hope that you enjoyed today's video and look forward to seeing your comments, suggestions, and feedback. Until next time.